So the chapter starts off as we see two blacksmiths forging something. We go to the next page as we see the main character cutting down 3 people. A man says, "Okay, let's get to it. Look at this, Chihiro. The sun's all bright today." "Yeah, it's sunny." Then he yells out, "Yo, son, you trying to tell us to play outside?" Yeesh. And then Chihiro thinks, what's up with him? As Chihiro's working, he looks at his dad and he says, "My dad's name is Kushigi Rokuhira." Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. He's the most famous swordsmith in the land. He makes special katana with his own method. Chihiro says, "I train rigorously with him every day." And his dad is in serious mode right now. Rokuhira says, yeah, true." And then Chihiro tells him that breakfast is ready, and Chihiro asks him if he's talking to his pet fish. Kushigi says, "Oops, my bad, let's eat." And Chihiro says, "Oops? Did the goldfish say anything?" And he says, "Yeah, they did. They said they want to dedicate themselves to learning." And then Chihiro thinks what he just heard. Learning. Trying to learn about learning. And he's like, right, to learn it. And then he says, "Give me a break." Yum. Chihiro and his dad get back to blacksmithing, and then, they just do that. Then a man named Mr. Shiba walks in and he says, "Man, I'm beat. I brought some souvenirs." Mr. Shiba says to Chihiro, "Sure grew, huh, Chihiro?" And Chihiro thinks he's just talking about the fish. And then Mr. Shiba says, "Yeah, well, I'm still bigger. Too bad." And he's like, "Yeah." Then he says, "He got you slaving away, huh?" "Yeah, and he's a great teacher." And then he says, 15 years ago, your dad was in the Sedai War. He was the most famous guy that was in the battle. Yeah. Mr. Shiba says, "Don't forget that. Your dad saved a lot of people. He's a hero." And, well, Chihiro says, "I've heard that many times." And he's like, "Well, you look always happy to hear it." Kushigi is quiet. And then Mr. Shiba says, "I talk too much, bye." And, well, they just look at him as he leaves. And then Chihiro asks Kushigi, "What's up?" And he says, "You're going to be 15 soon. You want to be a real swordsmith. It's about time. I showed you the stuff. You ain't so bright and shiny." Chihiro's dad says, "That's all." And Chihiro says, "Then I'll do it." And he looks at him, then looks back, and says, "Just so you know, I'm not joking about being a swordsmith. I'm serious. I want to follow in your footsteps. And then he's like, "Yeah, okay, I know." If y'all are enjoying the video, please like and subscribe. It would really help me out. And, well, I haven't made a video differently from episode Nagi in quite a while. After the first episode Nagi video, it was full down episode Nagi. But if you hear any of my birds, they're just chirping, so sorry if you hear them. Alright, let's get back into it. Chihiro's dad brings him to a room, and he says, as he looks at a sword, "There's a few of them stored in the basement. Mostly katana I made before you were even born, Chihiro." And he's like, "Katana used in the war? Yeah. Katana have always saved lives and slashed open new eras. But I'm sure you know." Chihiro's dad says, "They're still used for killing people. And we're complicit in the deaths they cause. It is our fault," or something like that. Chihiro's dad says something like this: "If you weld a sword and you give it to someone and they kill someone with that sword, can you carry that burden that you gave them that sword?" But Chihiro says, "I don't know, but..." Chihiro says, I'm committed to taking it on. And then his dad says, okay, then let's get back to work. And he's like, that's it? Yeah, if that's how you feel, I just gotta trust you now. And he's like, yep, that's my dad. 38 months later, meaning 3 years later, we see this kid and he says, before you Korigumi came here, this was a peaceful city. Street violence, thug wars or something, money, you're the losers, just a bunch of maggots infesting the streets. And then he gets his ass handed to him, getting punched. The man yells, let me at the sorcerer. And then this man with a hat and in a suit. Yeah, I'm just gonna name him Man in the Suit. The man in the suit puts his magic and stuff, puts some roots around the guy, and he says how fascinating, blah blah blah. Excuse me, Mr. Yakuza boss, I gotta pay me or something. You know, I think bravery is often rooted in ignorance. Have you ever seen sorcery? He says, I asked you a question. It's your first time, isn't it? And he says, yes, thought so. Then he's like, bye. I got all what I needed for, and we must spool them. Those little liquids of them. And he just dips out of there with some flame power. We see Chihiro again. And then Mr. Shiba calls him over and he says, Mr. Shiba, you were supposed to meet me at the station. But then Mr. Shiba just says, let me take this here real quick. And that's really it. Mr. Shiba asks him about the scar and why he hasn't removed it. And he's like, with the most edgiest thing ever, when I wake up in the morning, it gives me fresh hatred. And he's like, you know that's gonna break you if you keep doing that. And he's like, so? You're gonna stop me? He's like, alright, bro. Chihiro is talking to Mr. Shiba about they want to make a deal with the Yakuza so they could see what will happen. And I really don't know this plan because I kind of skipped maybe 2 pages. You're going to just have to read the chapter yourself if you want to find out. But, yeah, Mr. Shiba just looks up and sees, on the bridge, 4 people hanging off, whatever they call those train things. Yeah, it's a very dangerous city, he basically says. Mr. Shiba says they're trying to show a message that whatever happens, if they try to mess with them, you're probably going to get killed. Chihiro looks at them and he's like, Mr. Shiba. And right now, I am censoring this so you guys, I don't want to get, banned from YouTube. So, we're just going to hope right now, okay? I hope that works. I'm not trying to get banned, so you just gonna have to watch, read the series if you want to see this page. Chihiro asks Mr. Shiba, do you know where their base is? And he's like, yeah, take me there. And then we suddenly cut to the Yakuza's base. As the Yakuza are talking, one of the men get struck down in the side of their neck with a sword and he falls down. Suddenly, Chihiro just jumps down and lands on the table, and then Chihiro kills them with just one swipe, which is one of the cleanest panels in this series. We cut back to the man who was getting beat up, and they say, we're gonna kill your family now. And he's like, okay, fine, I'll tell you what I know. As soon as the Yakuza open the door, Chihiro cuts one down, and then cuts another one off with their hand. The man looks at him, and as Chihiro's just cutting everyone down, and there's so much blood all over the place, the mustache guy says, who the hell are you? Hey, where are the guards? Mr. Shiba yells out, boss, these guys are slacking off. And then he says to this random ass grunt, saying, that kid's the son of Kushigi Rukuhira, you heard of him, right? Yeah, I heard of him, the master swordsmith with his own technique that no one else could do. As the mustache man says, what do you want? I came to ask you something, and also, I can't allow slime like you to wield a katana. And then they all run for Chihiro to kill him. Chihiro grabs his sword and says and Mr. Shiba says, Gushigi Rukuhira, he imbued his swords with sorcery. And then Chihiro says, Enten. Goldfish pop out, kind of like swimming around Chihiro, and Chihiro says, Kuro. A big slash appears like he's Sakuna or something, and then Chihiro leaps up and he kills another guy by spinning and like killing them with a sword. Chihiro slashes everyone up from above and he falls back down. Chihiro says Nishiki, and then we see Mr. Shiba smoking. Chihiro asks about the Hasaku as Mr. Shiba gets them in, and well, the mustache guy says you're insane. And well, Chihiro says, do I seem sane to you? I don't care if they're monsters. I have to cut them down. And that ends off the chapter. Please like and subscribe. And well, thank you for enjoying this video. If you're wondering why it took so long for this video to come out, that is the reason, because of how long this video is. This is probably my third or second longest video ever, so yeah, sorry for the delay. And I'll see you guys next time.